Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday. This is Game Day Live, brought to you by the Let's Go Devils podcast and Primetime Network. You can find us everywhere that you download all of our stuff. Spotify, Twitch. You can stream us on Twitch. You can stream us on Facebook. You can stream us on YouTube. All that fun stuff. We're still figuring out how to stream on Instagram. I am your host, Shorts Guy. And here with me tonight, it's not Vinny Parisi. It's not Sam. It's not Scotty.
Nope.
We went all the way to Ann Crew. Our very good friend, Beer Baron.
We had to really dig deep. Really dig deep for that one. We
recalled a couple goalies. We sent them back down paper transactions, and finally we had Beer Baron come up from the come on up for a shot at the big show.
Not even from the Adirondack. I came from the not even the ECHL. I came from like the QMACT 5H9er. Did I hear a niner in there?
Did I hear a niner?
Anyways, dude, it's always good to be here.
Obviously, I'm kidding, Beer Baron. It's always great to have you on Game Day Live. I missed hanging out, talking to you, Scotty, and Sammy on Sunday night. I was busy working, but here we are at Game Day Live against the St. Louis Blues. Man, this is a revenge night. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, last time they went out, they lost 4-0, and they got beat pretty soundly by the Blues. So hopefully this is a game where they can they right the ship. It's one of those test games, you know. Like we went against the Florida Panthers. They did really well against the Panthers. Won both the games they played against them. These bigger, heavier teams, they seem to have a little bit of an issue with. The Blues have been playing pretty well. Yeah. This is definitely got to be circled on the calendar. After you lose 4-0, there's no way you can be like, all right, when do we see these guys next, and not care about it. So you would hope that they come out with a little bit of fire in their belly.
So I was mistaken and said it was 4-0 earlier when we were talking pregame. It was actually 3-0. So my apologies on that.
3-0.
But yeah, 3-0. I was there, but it was just the way that the Devils played that night. That was just such a crap game. I think they had 2 shots in the whole first period to St. Louis's 9 or 10. The first period was pretty much, the story of the game in that one. We celebrated Jacob Markstrom playing 500 games, and then everything went, basically to hell after that, which I can't remember if you were there or not, but it was not a fun game to be at. It was a pretty big disaster.
No, unfortunately, I was not there. Yeah, and that's such a disappointment on a celebration night. And we've talked about this before, of like how it seems like sometimes they have just like huge letdowns after those after those types of games. But this hopefully will be not a get right game because they're right,
revenge
but
game.
Just a revenge game. Yeah, a good old fashioned punch them in the face. Score a bunch of goals, revenge game.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at while we were waiting for the intro to finish up, I was looking up the Blues record since I was looking mid-November since they did the coaching change. They lost to the Islanders, then they beat the Rangers, they beat us, so they did the converse of what Vinny has talked about, where a lot of these teams that come into our area beat the Islanders and Rangers and lose to us. They beat the Islanders. They lost to the Islanders and beat the Rangers and us. They lost to Philly shortly after that. No one cares about Philly. I know I don't. But then they beat Winnipeg. They beat Calgary. Lost to Edmonton. Win against Vancouver. This team just beat the Rangers the other night. And the St. Louis Blues, they completely turned their ship around when they ditched their coach and they hired Jim Montgomery to come back, who was there with them when they won their cup. I think Boston made a big mistake when they fired him. But Jim Montgomery comes in and completely rights this Boston ship. Bennington looked really good when he played against us. I mean, he pitched a shutout. You can't say goalie had a bad game when he pitches a shutout. And this is definitely a revenge game. The Devils have to go into their building, right the wrongs to that. The Thanksgiving Eve massacre. Well, I don't want to call it a massacre. It was 3-0, but it massacred my fun. That's what it did that night. So we can call it the Thanksgiving Eve massacre because it massacred my fun. Go in there and do to their fans what they did to us here, and right the wrong of that night. And you're right. There are some heavy teams we don't do well against, but the St. Louis Blues, I wouldn't call a heavy team until that coaching change.
Yeah. Well, also, when we were playing them before, I feel like, things weren't 100% really sorted out in certain ways where defensively the Devils have been playing lights out lately. And the Blues are definitely going to be seeing a completely different squad than they did last time. First of all, we got to welcome back Curtis Lazar, because Curtis Lazar is back in the lineup after
Bring the
his
beef.
knee surgery. Not even just a knee injury, but a knee surgery. So it's going to be good to have him back. It seems like the team is 100% healthy. Knock on all sorts of wood. And hopefully they go out, they do what they have to do. This solidifies the fourth line, and they get those two top lines rolling, and they take care of business.
Absolutely. I want to say hello to everyone that's in the chat. We got Max, Tom, Corbin, Joseph, Stephen Engel, AJ Visco, Peter, Select the Boy, Survey is in there. We're missing we're missing one of the louder voices, Brooke Amanda, but I have a feeling she'll be showing up soon. Tom said fully healthy for the first time since the end of October, which is correct, which is what you just said.
Yeah.
You might have to have a word or two with Max. He said it's the EEE bug, the triple E bug.
Yeah. Triple E bug.
The triple E bug. We always like to have some fun with each other, so this is just all jokes. But it's everyone here in the chat. Normal banter, yeah, and actually it's Max we have to thank for the and crew, which turned into a beer, which went from just a passive comment to a joke to a beer. It's been a fun ride, but we got everyone here. We got everyone here in the chat. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to listen to the first part of this game on my way to my hockey game. So I'm not going to be able to watch much of this tonight, which means the Devils should do well. But hey, Sammy and I righted our bad luck at the Prudential Center with the last two games. So it's been fun to see these Devils win, especially that third period against Chicago. Holy crap, that was a good one. If they can bring that energy from the third period from Saturday with them on the road to St. Louis, man, that's definitely that'll definitely be a great start. They got to start heavy and hard. They did not do that against these Blues last time.
No, and was it against? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it against the Blues that Nico got tripped and it led directly to a 2-on-1 goal
within the first 15 seconds?
Within the first minute of the game. Was that against the Blues, right?
That was yes. I forget how that went in too. I feel like that went in either 5-hole or kind of awkwardly in on a Markstrom. But yeah, that was a trip. And we were talking to Chico about that, and he said that was just a real bad missed call on the official's part.
Yeah, and so, listen, that kind of stuff happens where the officials they're human beings. They're not going to get every single call. We have the luxury of replay where we watch the game and sometimes slow motion. You can sit there and be like, well, he clearly was holding him, or he clearly didn't trip him, or whatever the case may be. But hopefully they get off to a better start, because that can torpedo you. And unfortunately, the Devils are in that trend again of letting up the first goal. And sometimes they can come back and bounce back from it, but it's not a trend that you want to keep doing, because it's something that we've talked about before, is like fighting from behind, no matter if it's a goal, 2 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals. Like, yeah, it's great when you can. It's great when you do. But sometimes this team seems like they give up a goal and then they're pressing. It's not that they're not trying, because there's games where they've been shut out, where they've put 40 shots up or something like that. So it's not like they're not getting shots on goal. Quality shots, I don't know, but like you could tell they start pressing a little bit harder. So get in there, even if it's a 0-0 after the first, get into a comfortable kind of stride with this team. Use your speed, use your even use your size with the defenseman, but get in there and assert yourself right away, like you said, and really make a statement with this game.
Yeah, that'll be the key to our success today. And, I'm going to assume that we're going to see Binnington again. He did play very well. Got to give credit where credit's due to him. And I know you said that Markstrom's starting tonight. We got a really odd goalie situation, which was something today. If you had checked it out online, I guess there was a small presser today. Jake Allen was brought back. He's on the bench tonight. But in the midst of all that, they sent Poulter down, and they recalled Nico Dawes, and then they said that Jake Allen was here on the bench. So I'm curious I'm assuming Nico Dawes is the third goalie or they brought him up and they sent him down, or it was like
they sent him down.
Paper transactions. Like it must have just been paper transactions today.
I
Not like he
saw
didn't leave Utica.
no, he did because
Oh,
I
he
saw a
did?
clip.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
I saw a
sucks.
clip of him. I think he was at practice when they had that clip of the players like just having fun, like doing a shootout.
Hmm.
Nico Dawes is in goal. So, and that was like a day, either yesterday or the day before. So Dawes was in town and then
Okay.
had to go back to Utica. Um, it's got to be that's got to suck sometimes. Like you get called up, you're like, all right, and then you get sent down. But they have to understand, like, you look at who's in net now. It's not like it was
Hmm.
last year or the year before where there's tons of uncertainty and like you didn't know what version of VTech you're going to get, or if Akira Schmid was the real deal, or if any goaltender that they put in that position was going to be able to do anything worthwhile. So now they have a much better situation with Markstrom and Allen. And now that Allen seems good enough to be traveling with the team, they're like, all right, we're good. Like we could trust that if God forbid
Yeah.
we have to put him in, he'll be all right.
Yeah, and that's really what you had to cover yourself for, because we're going on this little bit of a road swing. We got St. Louis tonight, and I forget who we're playing on Thursday, but we're away on Thursday as well. We're playing Columbus, so we're going to go, out to the Midwest, and we're going to make our way back through the Rust Belt. St. Louis on Thursday, and then Saturday at home again against Pittsburgh. When you can come out to American Whiskey and see myself and I think Sam Wu. I don't know if you're going on Saturday. But we're gonna be there at American Whiskey doing Game Day Live and Devils After Dark live in person. So come on out and hang
Mm-hmm.
out like we've done the last two games. But we just got to get through Tuesday and Thursday first. So starting tonight in St. Louis, we got an 8 o'clock puck drop tonight. Devils, currently record, 20, 10, and 3. The Blues are 15, 14, and 3. Much improved since this coaching change, and a
Mm-hmm.
team that you can't say is really a pushover anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what they've done. I'm looking where they fall in the standings now. They're still sixth in the Central, so they're right above Chicago. That's so weird that Utah's in the Central. They shouldn't be in the Central, but they're
Yeah.
really only St. Louis is really only 5 points out of that third place in the Central, so it's kind of weird that they're right close to that spot, and they're only 3 points out of the wild card spot. So St. Louis is doing something good right now. This will be a good test for the Devils. Going in, shutting
Mm-hmm.
them up, and then going to Columbus after it. So that's what we can hope for tonight.
And hopefully that Chicago game showed them like you can't take anybody lightly. Like no matter what your
Oh no.
record is and what theirs are, and like who you are and who they are, and all that kind of stuff. Like St. Louis has still a ton of talent.
Hmm.
There's plenty of room for this team, the Devils, to continue to grow, and they should never take anybody lightly. And I
Yeah,
mean, I say
it's
that
the NHL.
with all, yeah, exactly, with all due respect, because like you can't even like you have teams that are at the bottom of the barrel, Nashville, the Rangers, like they're falling apart. But on Monday, I'm not going to be like it's a slam dunk. Oh, the Devils are going to destroy the
Nothing's a
Rangers.
slam
Like
dunk. Nothing in this league
nothing's
is a
a
slam
slam
dunk.
dunk. And that's the thing too, is like the Blues are a great example of why this league is so interesting, because if you look at the last time they won the Stanley Cup, they were in dead last in January. I
Yeah,
believe January 1st they were in dead last. And they
right
came
around this time of
all the
year.
way back. Yeah, they came all the way back and they ended up winning the Stanley Cup. So like crazy things do happen. I mean
Yep.
that was kind of like an outlier where that doesn't happen all the time, but at the same time, like it just shows you like you can't take anybody lightly. And especially, I feel like the Devils are a team that once they get into their structure and they really stick to it, they're a hard team to play against defensively now. I mean, Luke and Pesci, we were talking about it on Sunday, have been absolutely incredible. And you look at Kovacevic, you look at, Siegenthaler, Dougie once in a while has his little blunders, but I mean, it's still Dougie Hamilton. You still love him. Like
Yeah.
he's still worth his weight. The team itself is just playing incredible. And I hope that they come out tonight, they assert that defensive stance. Markstrom has, a solid game. Although
Hmm.
Scotty and Sam brought up something that you guys were talking about that I wanted to run by you too, is these low shot games for goaltenders can sometimes be harder than like a 30, 40 shot game. What is your opinion? Do you hope that the defense goes in there and shuts things down and does what they have to do where they're only letting up 15, 20 shots, or are you hoping that he gets like a decent 25, 30?
So Sammy and I with Scotty on Devils After Dark talked about this. I can't remember which game it was. It was either Saturday or Thursday. I want to say it was Saturday, the game against Chicago. But yeah, the lower shot games are difficult because when you're not able to get into a flow, you have to really make it make a point to, it may have been Saturday because the Blackhawks only had 17 shots against. Let me look at real quick what Thursday was. But when you're in one of these low shot games, and Brodeur was, all I ever heard from friends that were Ranger fans and that, or that just hated the Devils. And the LA game, 14 shots on goal. Yeah, LA had, let me look at the shots on goal. They had one in the first period on Thursday. And all I would hear from my friends that hated the Devils because they were Ranger fans was that, Brodeur doesn't get a lot of shots, blah, 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 blah. Those are sometimes your more difficult games because you can't get into a flow of the game. There's a lot of time where you're not, you're doing nothing basically if your team is just that stout defensively. So it can be a detriment, and you have to be of a certain mindset. And I think Markstrom has showed in the last two games that he can handle one shot period like the first in against LA and still stay in the game, a 2-shot first period like we did against Chicago and still stay in the game. So that's a mindset you have to be good and ready for. If you're going to have a team that's going to be stout defensively, you got to do some extra stuff when you're in there. And you've got to kind of come out of your net a little bit more. You maybe play the puck a little bit more than you normally would. Follow the play a little bit more, but definitely make sure you're on your game when the puck is in your zone. You really got to make sure you're not getting lazy. And that's really the big thing, because you can kind of lull yourself to sleep when you've got no work, and you can really kind of get surprised by a shot. So as long as Markstrom knows that that's the game that's going to be in front of him, as long as Allen knows that's the defensive game that's going to be in front of him, then they absolutely need to, make sure that they're preparing for that in practice. It's difficult. Sometimes you want to get a couple shots, especially early on. I know personally, I hate going the first 10 minutes where there's nothing, because it's been at that point 10, 12, 15 minutes since you've seen a shot in warmups. And then, sometimes your mind can kind of get away from you at times, and then you can, not pay attention, or one can kind of sneak in, or that's when you'll see a weird deflection. So it's almost like you want to get a good, decent shot or two within the first couple minutes, and then you're into the game, and then you go from there. Markstrom seems to be able to handle that, and he showed us in the last two games. So hopefully tonight, we'll see what happens. And but it was not that way against St. Louis Blues last time we saw him. I think he had 9 or 10 shots in the first period, but then again, the whole game was pretty much that in the first period. I can't remember if it was 2-0 or 3-0 after the end of the first, but then the Devils shut it down defensively after that. No goals were scored at all, I believe, the rest of the game. If there was another one, it was only one. So the Devils can shut it down defensively. They just got to make sure that they do it early, and they do it, in conjunction with Markstrom, which is what I would love to see.
Yeah, and it's funny because Fitzgerald came out and said something about Markstrom that I thought was very interesting, where basically he was saying, like, Markstrom he's been playing well enough for us to win, but I expect him, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but I expect him to do more. And he expects to be better. And I kind of like that from our GM. I kind of like that he's not lambasting him. He's not throwing him under the bus. He's not, and rightfully should. By the way, he shouldn't, because Markstrom hasn't been playing that bad. But he's also not letting him off the hook for having a couple of clunkers out there, and maybe not playing up to par in some of the games. Shots on goal, 9-0 Montreal over Buffalo.
Game. Wow. Buffalo's just not good. Survey said goalies want to feel the rubber. That's absolutely true. I mean, you watch warm-ups, and it's all the warm-ups are designed not for the shooter, but for the goalie. And that sounds like that comment was made after a conversation with Markstrom. Where Markstrom and Fitzy probably had a conversation, and Markstrom's probably like, "Man, I know I could do better, so I got to do it." Or Fitzgerald went to him and be like, listen, man, we have you here for a reason. You don't have a lot of time left in this league. I mean, he is 34. You got to start really playing better so that, we can not like you said, and I agree, not that he's been playing bad, but there have been a couple clunkers, and I know that he would like to have that one back against Toronto in overtime, but hey, that is what it is. You can't do that. And, you got to move forward. So I feel like that had something to do with it too, was that goal against Toronto. But I'll tell you what, Beer Baron, we should probably start getting some predictions here into the chat as we keep going a little bit before we give our predictions. So we'll give our predictions in a couple minutes, but let's start getting some predictions here in the YouTube chat so we can see what everyone thinks about tonight's Devils game. We had Max said that it was confirmed Binnington is playing in net, so we're going to see a rematch. Binnington-Markstrom tonight in net. I liked as much as I hated seeing the Blues beating us the last time we were there, I enjoyed watching Binnington and what he did away from the puck, off the puck, in between periods. That's my own little nerdy thing. That's why I like sitting where I've been sitting more recently, has been being able to watch our goalies 2 periods and their goalie 1 period. Just watching the small little intricacies. I mean, watching what Markstrom does when he comes out, from the period intermissions and how he scratches up his crease and all kinds of stuff. I love seeing that. So,
yeah.
But any last minute thoughts on tonight's game before we get into our predictions here?
Just get out there and play your game, and play your game the way you know how to play it. Don't sit there and try to let the game come to you. You bring the game to them, and really assert yourself and try to get the offense flowing right away. Some guys, and Fitzy also kind of mentioned, and he said, without mentioning names, there's guys on this team that need to start carrying their own weight. And as much as we love some of them out there, it's true. Some of these, third, fourth liners need to start picking it back up. Cotter's gotten pretty cold. Tatar, some of these guys, I know we're not expecting them to score 20, 25 goals a year, but we're expecting them to pitch in offensively, because we can't live and die by the sword of Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt. We have to be able to get secondary scoring. And listen, Nico's been doing his part. Timo Meyer's been playing awesome hockey. It's not showing up in the goals, but it's showing up everywhere else. So it's only a matter of time before he starts potting a bunch in. So
this is real quick before I start reading the score predictions in the chat. This is really where our depth was such a positive thing for us, because in the beginning of the season, when the likes of Jack Hughes and Jesper Bratt, and Timo Meier weren't really scoring or producing much, the third and fourth line was picking it up. Now we've got our top 2 lines that have started to score, and our third and fourth line has cooled down. So that depth is there to where when one isn't going, the other is going, and just we gotta solve that whole thing when we get shut out occasionally, which has happened too often this year.
5 times.
Yeah, and I've seen at least 2 of them, potentially 3. I can't remember, but at least 2 of them. That Tampa and the St. Louis one, it was like, ugh. But yeah, and then all those guys in the top line, you got to throw it to Jesper Bratt for that hit, which led to Jack's goal. That hit down low in the corner on Saturday was phenomenal.
Hard work.
Where Sammy and I were sitting, I remember seeing that check in the corner. I was like, that's going to be an important play, and boom, Jack was right in there. So it was great. If no one has yet gone and watched it, go to the YouTube channel. I commentated and filmed Sam Wu at the buffet in the middle sections on Saturday. If you haven't seen it, it is quite comical. I have to say that some of my comments and my commentary were, I feel like, pretty good. Going to the predictions in the chat. Joseph says 4-0 Devils. Select the Boy says 4-2 Devils. Stephen Engel, I'm not reading your score. Tom says 3-1 Devils. Remember when Ryan Miller went to St. Louis? I do remember that, Wimpy. Let's see. Survey says 3-2 Devils. Max has given us the whole rundown tonight. Corbin says 5-3 Devils. Max is predicting 3-2 Devils in an overtime victory. AJ Visco of AJ Visco, attorney at law, says the Devils are going to return the shutout favorite with 3-0. I like that score. That's a goalie. That's a goalie predicting a shutout. I love it. Mike is predicting 5-2 Devils. Wimpy says 3-2 Devils in a shootout, or excuse me, 2-1 Devils in a shootout. Brooke Amanda has entered the chat. with a 4-2 Devils victory. Eric says 3-2 Devils victory. We've got Eddie with 3-1 Devils. Let's see. I think Mike thinks that Dougie Hamilton will score this evening. That'll tick off Mrs. Wu, but I would love to see it. What's up, Ted? Ted told me he liked Gladiator too. Sam Wu prediction 9-0 Devils, and Ted predicts 6-5 Devils. So Beer Baron, I know you hate predicting scores.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
But let's hear it. Your daughter almost gave you crap for the opening.
I know. It's so funny. I will say, I'll say 4-2 Devils, and that fourth one an empty netter.
Okay, 4-2 Devils. I want to go 4-2 Devils as well, but I won't. I'll go a little bit different. I'm going to go 4-1 Devils, and I think the Devils are going to return the favor in St. Louis. I want to go bold like AJ, but I don't know if I can predict a shutout. I want to say that we are close to being done here. So once Samu hits that music, we can start closing this out. And Beer Baron, it's been a lot of fun having you here on Game Day Live. I know you're here occasionally when we're either live outside the arena or sometimes filling in for one of us. It's always fun and kind of fills in a little hole for me after missing Sunday night's show.
Yeah, buddy. It's always nice. It's always a pleasure. And with that,
there's the music. Perfect timing.
And Chris starts talking, and there's the music.
It's almost like we've done this before. So, Beer Baron, I want to thank you for jumping on. I want to thank you for taking the time out to help me out. Vinny is on assignment. Sammy is on assignment. I want to thank everybody for watching. Sammy will drop the podcast at some point tonight. Make sure you watch the Devils take on the Blues tonight. Puck drop at 8 o'clock. I have to get out of here and go to play hockey. Beer Baron, you've got stuff going on, so I know you need to go. And as Samu always says, and it's always said by Vinny as well to end every episode, let's go Devils.